Hey there, movie nerds, Abby here. We've got a couple of things to take care of in this video. First of all, we're going to take care of a little bit of housekeeping business, and secondly, the part that you've all been waiting for, my review of the very, very freshly released Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Now, as I'm sure you've noticed, there's been a bit of silence on our end for a while. Both Elliot and I have been extremely busy this summer doing all kinds of stuff. Right now, he is in Washington, D.C. working on an internship, and during June and the very beginning of July, I was in England and Scotland doing study abroad. Now, those of you who have been checking out the Two Awesome Movie Nerds blog on WordPress will know that while I was in Scotland, I got to go to the Edinburgh International Film Festival, where I saw the fantastic zombie movie Pontypool. If you are interested in checking out that blog entry, you can go to the link in the sidebar. Now, with that out of the way, on to the good stuff. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Being a longtime fan of the Harry Potter universe, my relationship to the films has always been, well, a little complex. I think we hit a turning point with Prisoner of Azkaban. Then, of course, there was Goblet of Fire, followed by Order of the Phoenix. And now, of course, we have the Half-Blood Prince. Why the varied reaction, you ask? Well, because I feel like Half-Blood Prince is a movie that almost defies regular criticism. It's a movie that fits pretty well within the canon of the book-to-movie adaptation, but really only works if you're a fan of the books and if you've read all of the books up until now. Even for people like me who have read them and know what's going on, but it's been a while, you might want to brush up because there are a few things that might just go over your head. Now, I say this because the movie offers absolutely no explanation as to what's going on or why it's happening. It starts out with a Death Eater attack on London. In fact, the entire Millennium Bridge in London over the Thames being completely torn apart by dark magic. And we don't really know why it's happening. If you haven't read the books, if you haven't seen the movies up until now, you're not going to know what's going on. Later on, there are a few instances of characters and creatures showing up and their appearance not really being explained. If you've maybe just read the books or remember enough about the books, you may have an idea as to what's going on, but if you don't, you might be a little bit confused. That being said, Half-Blood Prince does offer all of the thrills, chills, and comedic spills of your expected Harry Potter film. Basically, everything you go to see a Harry Potter movie for, you will find in Half-Blood Prince in spades. It is a more intense film, just as the book was supposedly more intense. Book 6 was never really my favorite of the series. I kind of felt like the writing was a bit not really up to J.K. Rowling's standards. But I feel like David Yates, the director, did a pretty good job of upping the ante here and making it feel darker, really giving it the vibe that I never really got from the books. So kudos to you, David Yates, for making Half-Blood Prince maybe a little bit more viable to me than it had been in the past. Another theme in the film that I thought was explored to rather entertaining levels was all the flirting that goes on between boys and girls at school and all of the sexual tensions that develop when you're young and in love or in like, whatever. And it's also been really fun to watch these kids develop from, 10, 11-year-old actors and actresses into the young adults that they are today, and they've all developed in different ways. That's kind of fun to watch, too. That being said, all of the relationships in the film are, well, some of them work and some of them don't. I thought Ron, Hermione, and Ron Lavender were really, really great. The Ron-Hermione relationship is very accurate, I think, and kind of touching, kind of sad, and totally believable. I think that Rupert Grint and Emma Watson do fantastic jobs in this movie. Newcomer Jessie Cave as Ron's girlfriend, or stalker, if you like, Lavender Brown, does a pretty good job. I think she maybe hams up her scenes a little bit too much, but gosh darn it, there's a lot of mileage you can get out of that, and she gets every inch possible. Good for you, Jessie. It's really fun to watch Lavender and Ron go at it, and I think a lot of that is her acting. She's really, really funny. Daniel Radcliffe, of course, as Harry, has been doing a great job the whole time, and he really does bring it in number 6. He's turned into a fine young actor. It's been really fun to watch him develop. But unfortunately, his relationship with Ginny, played by Bonnie Wright, doesn't really work for me. I've kind of always had a problem with Ginny in the books. I never thought her character was as developed as I would have liked her to be. I never saw in her what Harry saw in her. I never really understood why he decided that he suddenly needed to be with her. It was just kind of like this weird hormonal switch got flipped on for absolutely no reason at all. And in the movie, it's kind of the same way, but not just because it's random, but because Ginny is fairly unlikable. Unfortunately, Bonnie Wright hasn't really developed into the young actor that a lot of the other kids have. Her Ginny comes off as stiff, as wooden, as, well, honestly, kind of bitchy. I didn't really see her as a character that anybody would want to be friends with, much less want to date. Sorry, Bonnie. You just didn't do it for me. Another issue that I had with the film has to do with the Muggle-Wizard interaction, especially at the very beginning of the movie. At the very start, of course, we see the Millennium Bridge destroyed by dark wizards, and it's followed by a scene in which people don't seem to be reacting to that at all. If that were to actually happen, if the Millennium Bridge were to be destroyed, if that many people were to die in a terrorist attack, in a wizard attack, whatever, people would be freaking out. It would be like 9/11. But we don't see that. Instead, we just see a random scene of Harry in a street cafe reading the Daily Prophet, in which it talks about him and talks about Voldemort. Surprise, surprise, it's a wizard paper. It's gonna do that. What's the human reaction? What's the reaction from Muggles on the street, people who don't understand what's going on? I think the film would have been a lot richer if that had been part of the story. I know it was in the book, and it played a very interesting role. I feel like David Yates and adaptation writer Steve Kloves, whose time I think came up a long time ago, really missed out on this one. So that's my reaction to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Sorry if it got a little bit too nerdy in there for you, but honestly, that's pretty much the level of nerdiness that's required when analyzing and watching this film. Keep up in your Harry Potter mythology, because if you see Half-Blood Prince, you're gonna need it. For the Two Awesome Movie Nerds, this is Abby. Go forth and watch.